It was a sunny morning in Pinewood Acres. Pinewood Acres is my neighborhood. It's a quiet little place with small houses, green lawns, and tall trees. Everyone here usually minds their own business. Or at least, that's what I thought. I didn't know trouble was coming. Not yet. My name's Jake. Hi. I'm just a regular guy. I'm not super tall or super strong. I'm not a hero from a movie. I'm just me. I like simple things. I like playing with my dog, Buster. I like eating pizza on Fridays. And most of all, I like growing veggies in my backyard. Yup, veggies. I've got a little garden back there, and it's my favorite thing in the world. Let me tell you about my garden. It's not big, but it's mine. I started it a couple years ago. I dug up the dirt with a shovel. I planted tiny seeds with my hands. I watered them every day. And then magic. Little green sprouts popped up. Soon, those sprouts turned into real plants. Now, I've got all kinds of goodies growing back there. I've got tomatoes. They're red and juicy. I've got carrots. They're orange and crunchy. I've got beans. They're long and green. You name it, I planted it. I even grew a big fat pumpkin one time. It was so heavy I could barely lift it. Every morning, I go outside to check on my plants. I pull weeds. I chase away bugs. I talk to my veggies sometimes. Grow big, little buddies. I say. Silly, right? But it makes me happy. My garden is my quiet place. My happy place. Nothing bothers me when I'm out there digging in the dirt. Or so I thought. See, someone was watching me. Someone sneaky. Someone who didn't like my garden one bit. I didn't know it yet, but trouble was brewing. Big trouble. And it had a name. Her name was Karen Wilcox. Who's Karen Wilcox? Oh, you'll see. She's not just any neighbor. She's the head of our homeowners association. That's a fancy way of saying she's the boss of our neighborhood. Or at least, she thinks she is. The homeowners association, HOA for short, makes rules for everyone. Rules about how tall your grass can be. Rules about what color your house can be. Rules about everything. And Karen? She loves those rules. She loves them too much. Karen's not like me. I'm quiet. I mind my own business. But Karen? She's loud. She's bossy. She walks around Pinewood Acres like she owns the place. Every blade of grass. Every tree. Every house. She thinks it's all hers to control. She wears a fancy jacket with HOA President written on it. She carries a clipboard everywhere. She's always writing stuff down. Watching. Judging. Telling people what to do. I saw her a lot. She'd walk by my house with her nose in the air. She'd look at my garden and frown. Frown. Like my tomatoes made her mad. Like my carrots were breaking some big rule. I didn't get it. It's just a garden. What's wrong with growing veggies? But Karen didn't like it. Not one bit. The first time she talked to me, I was watering my plants. It was a hot day. The sun was shining. My tomatoes were looking extra red. I was proud. Then I heard her voice. Jake, she yelled. I turned around. There she was, Karen Wilcox. She had her clipboard in one hand and a pen in the other. Her fancy jacket was bright blue. Her frown was big and mean. Jake, she said again, what's this mess? She pointed at my garden. Mess. My garden wasn't a mess. It was perfect. I blinked at her. It's my garden, I said. I grow veggies here. She shook her head. It's too big, she snapped. Too many plants. It looks bad. The HOA doesn't like it. I didn't know what to say. Too big. Looks bad. My garden was awesome. I tried to be nice. It's just veggies, Karen, I said. They're yummy. Want a tomato? I held one out. It was shiny and red. But Karen didn't take it. She just stared at me. Her eyes were cold. This isn't over, she said. Then she turned and walked away. Her fancy jacket swished. Her clipboard bounced. I watched her go. What did she mean, this isn't over? I didn't like the sound of that. After that, Karen kept coming back. Every few days, she'd show up. She'd stand by my fence. She'd stare at my garden. She'd write stuff on her clipboard. Scribble, scribble, scribble. I'd wave at her sometimes. "Hi, Karen," I'd say. She wouldn't wave back. She'd just frown more. Her frown got bigger every time. I started calling it the Karen frown in my head. It was funny. But it was also weird. Why did she care so much about my veggies? My neighbors noticed too. Old Mr. Jenkins lives next door. He's got white hair and a big laugh. One day, he leaned over the fence. "Jake," he said, "that Karen lady's got it out for you." I laughed. "What? Why?" I asked. Mr. Jenkins shrugged. "She's like that," he said. "She fined me once for having a birdhouse. Said it was too loud." A birdhouse. We both laughed. But deep down, I was starting to worry. See, Karen wasn't just annoying. She was powerful. The HOA listened to her. If she didn't like something, she could make trouble. Big trouble. Fines. Letters. Rules. I heard stories. One guy painted his door red. Karen made him paint it white again. Another lady planted flowers. Too many flowers, Karen said. She had to dig them up. Karen ruled Pinewood Acres like a queen. A mean queen with a clipboard. But me? I didn't want trouble. I just wanted my garden. My tomatoes. My carrots. My beans. I worked hard on them. Every seed I planted with care. Every weed I pulled with love. My garden wasn't just plants. It was mine. My little piece of happiness. And I wasn't going to let Karen take that away. No way. Still, I stayed quiet. I didn't fight her. Not yet. When she yelled about my garden, I just nodded. "Okay, Karen," I'd say. When she wrote on her clipboard, I'd smile. I didn't argue. I didn't shout. I kept my cool. Why? Because I had a plan. A secret plan. A trick up my sleeve. Karen didn't know it yet, but I was ready. Ready for whatever she'd do next. What was my trick? Oh, you'll find out soon. It's a good one. A really good one. Something that would turn her world upside down. Flip it. Spin it. Shake it all up. Karen thought she was the boss. She thought she could boss me around forever. But she was wrong. So wrong. And I couldn't wait to show her. That sunny morning in Pinewood Acres. It started like any other day. The birds were singing. The sky was blue. My garden was growing. I went outside with my watering can. I sprinkled water on my tomatoes. I sprinkled water on my carrots. I sprinkled water on my beans. Everything was peaceful. Calm. Normal. I had no idea what was coming. No idea that Karen was about to start something big. Something wild. Something that would change everything. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Let's slow down. Let's go back to that morning. I was happy. My plants were happy. The sun was warm on my face. I knelt down by my tomato plants. I touched the leaves. They were soft. I smiled. "Looking good, buddies," I said. "Yup," I talked to my plants. "Don't laugh. It works. They grow better when I talk to them. I think they like me." I stood up and stretched. I looked around. Pinewood Acres was quiet. Mr. Jenkins was in his yard, feeding his birds. A kid rode by on a bike. A dog barked somewhere. Just a normal day. I took a deep breath. The air smelled like grass and flowers. I love that smell. It's the smell of home. Then I saw her. Karen. She was walking down the street. Her fancy jacket was on. Her clipboard was out. Her frown was huge. The Karen frown. She was coming my way. Fast. Her shoes clicked on the sidewalk. Click, click, click. My stomach did a little flip. Uh-oh. What now? She stopped at my fence. She stared at my garden. Her eyes were sharp, Like a hawk. She didn't say anything at first. She just looked. Looked and looked. I waved. "Morning, Karen," I said. I tried to sound cheerful. She didn't wave back. She didn't smile. She just kept staring. Then she wrote something on her clipboard. Scribble, scribble, scribble. My smile faded a little. What was she up to? "Jake," she said finally. Her voice was loud. Sharp. "This garden." She pointed at my plants. "It's a problem." "A problem? My garden?" I blinked. "What do you mean?" I asked. She tapped her clipboard. "Too many plants," she said. "Too messy. Too much. The HOA doesn't like it." She said it like it was a fact. Like the sky is blue. Like the grass is green. But it wasn't a fact to me. It was crazy. "It's just a garden," I said. "It's not hurting anyone." I kept my voice calm. Nice. I didn't want a fight. But Karen? She wanted a fight. I could see it in her eyes. "It's not just a garden," she snapped. "It's against the rules. And I'm going to fix it." Fix it? What did that mean? My heart beat faster. I didn't like this. Not one bit. She turned and walked away. Click, click, click. Her jacket swished. Her clipboard bounced. I watched her go. My mind was spinning. Fix it? Fix my garden? How? Why? What was she planning? I didn't know. But I knew one thing. Karen Wilcox was trouble. Big trouble. And she wasn't done with me yet. That's when I decided. I wasn't going to let her win. No way. My garden was mine. My veggies were mine. I worked hard for them. I loved them. And Karen? She didn't get to ruin that. She didn't get to boss me around forever. I had a trick. A secret. Something she'd never see coming. Something that would turn her world upside down. Curious yet? Want to know what happens next? Stick around. This story's just getting started. It's going to get wild. It's going to get fun. And Karen? Oh, she's in for a big surprise. A really big surprise. Hey, quick question for you: what would you do if someone messed with something you worked hard on? Drop your answer below. I want to hear from you. Let's talk about it. Because me? I didn't just sit there. I did something. Something awesome. And you'll find out soon. Karen walked away that morning, but her words stuck with me. "I'm going to fix it," she'd said. Fix it? Fix my garden? What did that even mean? I stood there by my fence, holding my watering can. My tomatoes looked back at me. My carrots peeked out of the dirt. My beans waved in the breeze. They didn't need fixing. They were perfect. But Karen didn't think so. And that scared me a little. I put my watering can down. I wiped my hands on my jeans. My mind was racing. What was Karen up to? Was she going to make me dig up my plants? Was she going to find me? Was she going to march over with her clipboard and yell some more? I didn't know. But I knew one thing: she wasn't going to leave me alone. Not today. Not tomorrow. Maybe not ever. I looked across the street. Pinewood Acres was still quiet. The kid on the bike was gone. Mr. Jenkins was still feeding his birds. Everything seemed normal. But it didn't feel normal. Not anymore. Karen had changed that. She'd walked up to my fence and dropped a big, fat problem in my lap. And I had to figure out what to do about it. I went inside my house. Buster, my dog, ran up to me. He's a little brown mutt with floppy ears. He wagged his tail so hard it thumped the wall. Thump, thump, thump. "Hey, buddy," I said. I scratched his head. He licked my hand. Dogs are the best, right? They don't care about gardens or HOAs or mean ladies with clipboards. They just love you. I needed that right then. I needed something to make me smile. I grabbed a glass of water and sat on my couch. Buster jumped up next to me. He put his head on my lap. I stared at the ceiling. My brain wouldn't stop. Karen. My garden. Her clipboard. Her frown. That fancy blue jacket. It all swirled around in my head like a tornado. I took a sip of water. I pet Buster. What do I do, buddy? I asked him. He tilted his head. He didn't answer, of course. He's a dog. But it felt good to talk to him. I thought about my garden again. I'd worked so hard on it. It wasn't just plants to me. It was more. It was mine. My little project. My little world. I remembered the first time I planted something. It was a tomato seed. Tiny. Smaller than a pebble. I put it in the dirt. I covered it up. I watered it. And then I waited. Days went by. Nothing happened. I thought maybe I did it wrong. But then one morning I saw it. A tiny green sprout. So small I almost missed it. I jumped up and down. Yes. I yelled. Buster barked. We were both excited. That sprout grew. It got taller. Leaves popped out. Then little yellow flowers. And finally bam, a tomato. A real, red tomato. I picked it. I held it in my hand. It was warm from the sun. I took a bite. Juice dripped down my chin. It was the best thing I'd ever tasted. Not because it was fancy. But because I grew it. Me. Jake. Just a regular guy. That's why my garden mattered. Every plant had a story. The carrots. I planted them last spring. They took forever to grow. I kept checking the dirt. Come on, carrots. I'd say. One day, I saw orange tips sticking out. I pulled one up. Crunch. So good. The beans. I built a little fence for them to climb. They twisted and curled all summer. Now they hung there, long and green. Perfect for snapping and eating. Every plant was special. Every plant was mine. And Karen wanted to fix that? No way. Not on my watch. I wasn't going to let her ruin my happy place. I wasn't going to let her stomp all over my tomatoes. Nope. 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 But what could I do? She was the HOA boss. She had power. She had rules. She had that stupid clipboard. I was just Jake. Just a guy with a garden and a dog. That's when I remembered my trick. My secret. My plan. Oh yeah. I had something up my sleeve. Something Karen didn't know about. Something that would make her jaw drop. Something that would flip her fancy little world upside down. What was it? I'm not telling you yet. You have to wait. But trust me, it's good. Really good. The best kind of good. Let me back up a little. Let's talk about Pinewood Acres some more. It's a nice place. Small houses. White fences. Green lawns. Kids play in the street. Dogs bark. People wave. It's not perfect, but it's home. I moved here 3 years ago. I liked it right away. The air was clean. The people were friendly. Well, most of them. Not Karen. But everyone else? Pretty cool. My house is small. 1 story. Yellow paint. A little porch out front. And the backyard, that's where the magic happens. My garden takes up half of it. The other half is for Buster. He runs around back there, chasing squirrels. Sometimes he digs holes. I don't mind. He's a dog. That's what dogs do. I've got a shed too. It's old and rusty. I keep my shovel in there. My watering can. My seeds. Everything I need for my garden. I didn't always have a garden. Back when I lived in the city, I had an apartment. No yard. No dirt. Just a tiny balcony. I tried growing a plant there once. A little pot with a flower. It died. Too much sun. Or maybe not enough water. I don't know. I wasn't good at it then. But when I moved to Pinewood Acres, I got a yard. A real yard. I decided to try again. And this time, it worked. Big time. That's why Karen's words bugged me so much. I'd worked hard to make something. Something good. Something mine. And she wanted to take it away. Just because she didn't like it? Just because it didn't fit her rules. That wasn't fair. Not one bit. I didn't deserve that. My plants didn't deserve that. Even Buster didn't deserve that. Okay, maybe Buster didn't care. He just wanted treats. But you get what I mean. I finished my water. I put the glass down. Buster yawned. I looked out the window. The sun was still shining. My garden was still there. For now. But I knew Karen. She wasn't done. She'd be back. Maybe tomorrow. Maybe the next day. She'd come with her clipboard and her frown and her fancy jacket. She'd try to fix my garden. Whatever that meant. I stood up. Buster jumped off the couch. Come on, buddy, I said. Let's go outside. We walked to the back door. I opened it. Buster ran out. He sniffed the grass. He chased a butterfly. I stepped onto the porch. I looked at my garden again. My tomatoes were so red. My carrots were so orange. My beans were so green. It was beautiful. Perfect. Mine. I sat on the porch steps. I watched Buster play. I thought about Karen. I thought about my trick. My secret plan. It wasn't time to use it yet. Not today. But soon. Oh, so soon. Karen didn't know what was coming. She thought she was the boss. She thought she could push me around. She thought wrong. See, I wasn't just a regular guy. Okay, I was. But I was a regular guy with a trick. A smart trick. A sneaky trick. Something I'd set up a while ago. Something that would catch her. Trap her. Show everyone who she really was. I wasn't going to fight her with yelling. I wasn't going to fight her with fists. I was going to fight her with my brain. And my trick. What was it? Oh, come on. I can't tell you yet. That's the fun part. You have to wait. Just a little longer. But I'll give you a hint. It's something outside. Something in my yard. Something Karen didn't see. Something that would make her wish she'd left me alone. A big surprise. A huge surprise. The best surprise. I smiled. Buster ran over. He dropped a stick at my feet. Good boy, I said. I threw the stick. He ran after it. I leaned back on the steps. The sun felt warm. The breeze felt cool. My garden looked awesome. For now, everything was okay. For now, I could relax. But I knew it wouldn't last. Karen was coming. Trouble was coming. And I'd be ready. Hey, quick question for you: what would you do if someone messed with something you worked hard on? Drop your answer below. I really want to know. Because me? I didn't just sit there. I had a plan. A trick. And it's going to make this story wild. Stick around, you won't believe what happens next. Karen wasn't just bossy, she was mean. Really mean. Like the meanest person I'd ever met. My name's Jake, and I live in Pinewood Acres. It's a quiet little neighborhood. I've got a garden in my backyard. I love it. Tomatoes, carrots, beans, I grow them all. But Karen? She hated my garden. Hated it with a big, fat frown. And she was the boss of our homeowners association, or HOA. That means she made rules. Tons of rules. And she loved telling me I was breaking them. Every time I watered my plants, she'd show up. Every single time. I'd be out there with my watering can. Sprinkle, sprinkle, sprinkle. The sun would be shining. My tomatoes would be red and happy. My carrots would be poking out of the dirt. My beans would be climbing their little fence. I'd be smiling. Then bam, I'd hear her. Her loud, sharp voice. Jake, she'd yell. I'd turn around, and there she'd be. Karen Wilcox. Marching over like she owned my yard. She always had her clipboard. That dumb clipboard. It was big and white, and she'd hold it tight. She'd write stuff on it all the time. Scribble, scribble, scribble. She'd stand there in her fancy blue jacket. HOA President was written on it in big gold letters. She thought that jacket made her special. She thought it made her the queen. Queen Karen. Ha! I called her that in my head sometimes. It was funny. But not too funny, because she was mean. Your garden's too big, Jake, she'd snap. Every time. Too big. She'd point at my plants like they were bad dogs. It's an eyesore, she'd say. An eyesore? What's that even mean? I think it means ugly. But my garden wasn't ugly. It was awesome. Red tomatoes. Orange carrots. Green beans. All pretty and yummy. I didn't get it. Why did she hate it so much? I'd just smile and nod. Okay, Karen, I'd say. I'd keep my voice nice. Calm. I didn't yell back. I didn't argue. But inside. Oh, I was mad. Really mad. Boiling mad. Like a pot of water on the stove. Bubble, bubble, bubble. I wanted to tell her off. I wanted to say, leave my garden alone. I wanted to grab her clipboard and throw it in the trash. But I didn't. I stayed quiet. I kept my cool. Why? Because I had a plan. A secret. But more on that later. Karen would glare at my tomatoes. Glare. Like they'd insulted her. Like my tomatoes walked up to her and said, "Hey, Karen, you're mean." Ha! That'd be funny. But no. They were just sitting there, growing. Being tomatoes. She'd stare at them with her mean eyes. Her lips would get all tight. Her nose would wrinkle. She'd shake her head. Too many plants, she'd mutter. Too messy. Then she'd write on her clipboard. Scribble, scribble, scribble. What was she writing? I don't know. Probably mean stuff about me. It wasn't just my tomatoes she hated. She hated my carrots too. And my beans. Everything. One time, I was pulling carrots out of the dirt. They were perfect. Bright orange. Crunchy. I held one up and smiled. "Look at this, Karen," I said. I was proud. She was walking by. She stopped. She looked at my carrot. Did she smile? Nope. She frowned. The big Karen frown. "That's too orange," she said. Too orange? What? How can a carrot be too orange? It's a carrot. I laughed a little. She didn't. She wrote on her clipboard and walked away. Neighbors talked about her. Oh, they had stories. Mr. Jenkins lives next door. He's old and nice. He likes birds. He told me stuff. "Karen's mean," he said one day. We were by the fence. She fined me once. Fined him? Yup. That's when the HOA makes you pay money for breaking rules. Why? I asked. He laughed. "My mailbox," he said. I painted it blue. She said it was the wrong blue. Too bright. She made me pay $20. $20 for a mailbox? That's crazy. Then there was Mrs. Lopez. She lives across the street. She's got kids and a cat. She told me a story too. "Karen fined me for my flowers," she said. Flowers? Yup. I planted roses by my porch. Red ones. Pretty ones. She said I had too many. Too many roses. She fined me $10. $10 for roses? Wow. Karen was nuts. Totally nuts. Everyone had a Karen story. One guy hung a flag on his porch. A little American flag. Karen said it was too big. Fine. Another lady put a bird bath in her yard. Karen said it was too loud. Too loud. It's a bird bath. Birds splash in it? Splash, splash. How's that loud? Fine. Karen loved fines. She loved rules. She loved being mean. But me? I didn't say much. I kept quiet. When she yelled about my garden, I nodded. Okay, Karen, I'd say. When she glared at my tomatoes, I smiled. When she wrote on her clipboard, I waved. I didn't fight. Not yet. Why? Because I wasn't ready to let her win. Not today. Not tomorrow. Not ever. I had something up my sleeve. A trick. A secret. Something told me she'd slip up soon. And when she did, oh, I'd be ready. It started small. Little fights. Little moments. One day, I was trimming my bean plants. Snip, snip, snip. The sun was out. Birds were singing. I was happy. Then click, 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 I heard her shoes. Karen's shoes. She marched over. Jake, she barked. I looked up. There she was. Clipboard. Jacket. Frown. What now? I asked. I kept my voice nice. Your beans, she said. They're climbing too high. Too high. Too high. They were on a little fence. I made that fence myself. It was short. Like, 3 feet. Not high at all. They're fine, I said. I smiled. She didn't smile back. No, she snapped. They're breaking rules. The HOA says no tall plants. No tall plants? Beans aren't even tall. Trees are tall. Beans are just, beans. I wanted to laugh. But I didn't. I nodded. Okay, Karen, I said. She glared at me. She wrote on her clipboard. Scribble, scribble, scribble. Then she left. Click, click, click. I watched her go. My beans were fine. She was wrong. So wrong. Another time, I was watering my tomatoes. It was hot. Really hot. The sun was burning. My plants needed water. I stood there with my hose. Spray, spray, spray. Water splashed on the leaves. It sparkled in the sun. Pretty, right? I thought so. But guess who didn't? Karen. She came stomping over. Jake, she yelled. I sighed. Here we go again. What? I asked. You're watering wrong, she said. Watering wrong? How do you water wrong? It's water. You spray it? Wrong. I said. I kept smiling. Yes, she snapped. Too much water. It's messy. The HOA doesn't like messes. Too much water? My plants were thirsty. They needed it. I didn't say that. I just nodded. Okay, Karen, I said. She stared at my tomatoes. Her eyes were mean. She wrote on her clipboard. Scribble, scribble, scribble. Then she walked away. I shook my head. She was crazy. Totally crazy. It kept happening. Day after day. Week after week. If I pulled weeds, she'd yell. Too many weeds, Jake. If I planted something new, she'd yell. Too many plants, Jake. If I did nothing, she'd still yell. Your garden's ugly, Jake. Always yelling. Always mad. Always with that clipboard. Scribble, scribble, scribble. I stayed calm. I smiled. I nodded. But inside, I was boiling. Mad. So mad. My neighbors saw it too. Mr. Jenkins would watch from his yard. He'd shake his head. She's nuts, he'd say. Mrs. Lopez would peek out her window. Be careful, Jake, she'd whisper. They knew Karen was mean. They knew she was picking on me. But they didn't fight her either. Why? Because she was the HOA boss. She had power. She could fine you. She could make trouble. Big trouble. One day, it got worse. I was fixing my fence. The little one for my beans. A stick broke, so I got a hammer. Bang, bang, bang. I nailed a new stick in. It looked good. I was proud. Then click, 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 Karen showed up. Jake, she barked. What's this? She pointed at my fence. It's my fence, I said. I fixed it. She shook her head. Too loud, she said. You're hammering. It's noisy. The HOA doesn't like noise. Noise. It was 3 bangs. Bang, bang, bang. That's it? I stared at her. It's fixed now, I said. I kept my voice nice. She didn't care. Too late, she snapped. I'm writing you up. Writing me up? For offense? She scribbled on her clipboard. Scribble, scribble, Scribble. You'll get a fine, she said. A fine? For hammering? I couldn't believe it. She smirked. A little mean smirk. Then she walked away. Click, click, click. I stood there. My hammer in my hand. My fence fixed. My heart pounding. That's when I knew. Karen wasn't just mean. She was out to get me. Really get me. She didn't just hate my garden. She hated me. Why? I don't know. Maybe because I didn't fight back. Maybe because I smiled. Maybe because my garden was awesome and she couldn't stand it. Whatever it was, she was after me. Every day. Every time I went outside. Clipboard. Frown. Rules. Yelling. But I didn't give up. Nope. I kept quiet. I kept smiling. I kept watering my plants. Why? Because I wasn't going to let her win. Not yet. My garden was mine. My tomatoes were mine. My carrots were mine. My beans were mine. I worked hard for them. I loved them. And Karen? She wasn't going to take that away. No way. Something told me she'd slip up soon. Something big. Something dumb. She was mean, but she wasn't perfect. Nobody's perfect. Not even Queen Karen with her fancy jacket and her stupid clipboard. She'd mess up. She'd do something I could use. Something that would turn everything around. I didn't know what it was yet. But I felt it. Deep down. In my boiling, mad insides. I felt it. So I waited. I smiled. I nodded. I watered my plants. I fixed my fence. I waved at Mr. Jenkins. I whispered to Mrs. Lopez. I kept going. Day after day. Karen kept coming. Yelling after yelling. Scribble after scribble. But I was ready. Ready for her to slip. Ready for my chance. Ready to show her she wasn't the boss of me. What was my chance? Oh, you'll see. It's coming. It's big. It's good. It's sneaky. But not yet. Not in this part. You have to wait. Just a little longer. Trust me, it's worth it. Weeks passed, and things got weirder. Really weird. My name's Jake, and I live in Pinewood Acres. It's a quiet little neighborhood. I've got a garden in my backyard. I love it. Tomatoes, carrots, beans, I grow them all. But Karen, the HOA boss, hated my garden. She yelled at me all the time. Too big, she'd snap. Too messy. She was mean. Super mean. And now, things were getting strange. Stranger than ever. It started slow. Little things. I'd go outside to water my plants. Sprinkle, sprinkle, sprinkle. The sun would shine. My tomatoes would look red and juicy. My carrots would peek out of the dirt. My beans would climb their little fence. Everything seemed fine. But then I'd notice stuff. Weird stuff. One day, a tomato was missing. Just one. Gone. I looked everywhere. Under the plants. By the fence. Nothing. Where did it go? I scratched my head. That's odd, I said to myself. Another day, I found footprints. Small ones. Right by my carrots. The dirt was squished down. Someone had been there. Who? I didn't know. But it made me wonder. Was someone sneaking around? Was it a kid? A dog? A squirrel? I laughed. Squirrels don't wear shoes, I said out loud. My dog, Buster, barked. He thought it was funny too. But deep down, I wasn't so sure it was funny. Something felt off. Then it got worse. One morning, I went outside. My bean fence was broken. Snapped in half. The beans were hanging down, all sad. I frowned. What happened? I asked. The wind wasn't strong last night. No big storms. No dogs running around. Buster was inside with me. So how did it break? I fixed it with a new stick. Bang, bang, bang. I hammered it in. But I kept thinking. This wasn't normal. Something was wrong. Karen kept coming by. Every few days. Click, click, click. Her shoes on the sidewalk. She'd stand by my fence. She'd glare at my garden. She'd write on her clipboard. Scribble, scribble, scribble. Too many plants, Jake, she'd yell. Too ugly. I'd smile and nod. Okay, Karen, I'd say. But inside, I was mad. Boiling mad. And now, with the missing tomato and the broken fence, I was starting to wonder. Was she up to something? I talked to my neighbor, Mr. Jenkins. He's old and nice. He likes birds. We stood by his fence one day. Mr. Jenkins, I said, things are weird. He nodded. Yup, he said. Karen's mean. Maybe she's doing stuff. Doing stuff? Like what? I didn't know. But it made me think. Maybe he was right. Maybe Karen wasn't just yelling. Maybe she was sneaking. Messing with my garden. Trying to make me mad. Then came the big night. The really weird night. It was late. Dark outside. Stars in the sky. I was asleep in my bed. Buster was snoring next to me. Snore, snore, snore. Everything was quiet. Peaceful. Then sniff, sniff, I smelled something. Something bad. Smoke. My eyes popped open. My nose wrinkled. Smoke. In my house? I jumped out of bed. My heart started pounding. Thump, thump, thump. Buster woke up too. He barked. Quiet, buddy. I whispered. I ran to the window. I looked outside. Oh no. Oh no, oh no, oh no. My garden, it was on fire. Flames were everywhere. Big, hot, orange flames. My carrots? Toast. Burned up. My beans? Gone. Turned to ash. My tomatoes? Popping and sizzling in the heat. Black smoke went up into the sky. Crackle, crackle, crackle. The fire was eating everything. Everything I worked so hard for. Everything I loved. I grabbed my shoes. I ran outside. Barefoot. No way. I didn't want to burn my feet. Buster stayed inside. Stay, buddy. I said. He whimpered. I shut the door. I stood in my yard, staring. The fire was big. Scary. Hot. My heart was pounding so fast. Thump, thump, thump. I was mad. So mad. Who did this? Who burned my garden? My perfect little garden? I wanted to yell. I wanted to cry. But I didn't. Not yet. I had to think. I ran to my hose. It was by the porch. I turned it on. Splash. Water came out. I pointed it at the fire. Spray, spray, spray. The flames hissed. Hiss, hiss, hiss. Smoke got in my eyes. It stung. I coughed. But I kept spraying. Water splashed on the carrots. On the beans. On the tomatoes. Slowly, the fire got smaller. 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 Finally, poof, it was out. No more flames. Just wet dirt and burned plants. My garden was a mess. A big, sad, smoky mess. I dropped the hose. I stood there. My hands were shaking. My shirt was wet. My face was sweaty. I looked at my garden. No more carrots. No more beans. No more tomatoes. Just black stuff. Ash. Ruins. I kicked the dirt. Why? I said out loud. Why would someone do this? I was mad. Really mad. Boiling mad. Like a volcano ready to blow up. Boom. But then I stopped. I took a deep breath. I didn't panic. Nope. I stayed calm. Why? Because I had something. Something smart. Something I'd done a month ago. See, Karen's yelling had gotten loud. Really loud. Too big, Jake. Too messy, Jake. Every day, she'd yell. Scribble, scribble, scribble on her clipboard. I got tired of it. So I did something sneaky. I set up security cameras. Yup. Little cameras. Hidden cameras. All around my yard. I put one by the fence. It looked like a rock. Sneaky, right? I put one by the shed. It looked like a birdhouse. Super sneaky. I put one on my porch. It looked like a light. The sneakiest. They watched my garden all the time. Day and night. They recorded everything. Every bug. Every bird. Every leaf. And now. Maybe they recorded something else. Something big. Something bad. Something like, a fire. I ran inside. Buster barked. "It's okay, buddy," I said. I grabbed my laptop. It was on the table. I opened it. Click, click, click. I pulled up the camera footage. My cameras save everything. Every minute. Every second. I went back to that night. Back to when the fire started. I hit play. My eyes were glued to the screen. What would I see? Who would I see? My heart was pounding again. Thump, thump, thump. The screen was dark at first. Just my yard. Quiet. Still. The tomatoes were there. The carrots were there. The beans were there. All safe. All good. Then movement. Something moved by the fence. A shadow. A person. I leaned closer. Who was it? The camera zoomed in a little. I saw a jacket. A blue jacket. A fancy blue jacket. Wait a minute. I knew that jacket. HOA president in gold letters. Oh no. Oh yes. It was her. Karen. She stepped into the light. Clear as day. Karen Wilcox. The mean HOA boss. She was holding something. A lighter. A little red lighter. She flicked it. Click. A tiny flame popped up. She grinned. Grinned. Like she'd won a prize. Like she was happy. She walked to my garden. She held the lighter down. Down to my beans. Whoosh. The beans caught fire. She moved to my carrots. Whoosh. The carrots burned. She moved to my tomatoes. Whoosh. The tomatoes went up in flames. She stood there, watching. Grinning. Laughing a little. My garden burned, and she laughed. I stared at the screen. My mouth dropped open. Karen. Karen did this? Karen burned my garden? My perfect little garden? I couldn't believe it. But there she was. On my camera. Holding a lighter. Starting a fire. Grinning like a mean, sneaky fox. She thought she'd get away with it. She thought no one would know. She thought wrong. I paused the video. I sat back. Buster jumped on the couch. He licked my hand. I pet him. Good boy, I said. But my mind was racing. Karen burned my garden. Karen. The HOA boss. The clipboard lady. The mean queen of Pinewood Acres. She didn't just yell. She didn't just write stuff down. She took a lighter and torched my plants. My carrots. My beans. My tomatoes. All gone. Because of her. I was mad. So mad. Boiling mad. Volcano mad. But I didn't yell. I didn't cry. I smiled. Yup, I smiled. Why? Because I had her. I had proof. My cameras caught her. Every move. Every flame. Every grin. She didn't know about my cameras. She didn't know I was watching. She didn't know I was ready. Oh, she had no idea what was coming. No idea at all. I saved the video. Click. Done. I closed my laptop. I looked at Buster. We've got her, buddy, I said. He wagged his tail. Thump, thump, thump. I stood up. I went to the window. My garden was a mess outside. Wet. Burned. Sad. But I wasn't sad. Nope. I was ready. Ready for the next step. Ready to show everyone. Ready to flip Karen's world upside down. What was I going to do? Oh, you'll see. It's big. It's good. It's coming soon. But not yet. Not in this part. This was just the start. The fire. The cameras. The grin. Little things adding up. Little secrets coming out. Karen thought she was smart. She thought she was sneaky. She thought she'd win. She was wrong. So wrong. And I couldn't wait to prove it. Weeks passed, and things got weirder. Really weird. My name's Jake, and I live in Pinewood Acres. It's a quiet little neighborhood. I've got a garden in my backyard. I love it. Tomatoes, carrots, beans, I grow them all. But Karen, the HOA boss, hated my garden. She yelled at me all the time. Too big, she'd snap. Too messy. She was mean. Super mean. And now, things were getting strange. Stranger than ever. It started slow. Little things. I'd go outside to water my plants. Sprinkle, sprinkle, sprinkle. The sun would shine. My tomatoes would look red and juicy. My carrots would peek out of the dirt. My beans would climb their little fence. Everything seemed fine. But then I'd notice stuff. Weird stuff. One day, a tomato was missing. Just one. Gone. I looked everywhere. Under the plants. By the fence. Nothing. Where did it go? I scratched my head. That's odd, I said to myself. Another day, I found footprints. Small ones. Right by my carrots. The dirt was squished down. Someone had been there. Who? I didn't know. But it made me wonder. Was someone sneaking around? Was it a kid? A dog? A squirrel? I laughed. Squirrels don't wear shoes, I said out loud. My dog, Buster, barked. He thought it was funny too. But deep down, I wasn't so sure it was funny. Something felt off. Then it got worse. One morning, I went outside. My bean fence was broken. Snapped in half. The beans were hanging down, all sad. I frowned. What happened? I asked. The wind wasn't strong last night. No big storms. No dogs running around. Buster was inside with me. So how did it break? I fixed it with a new stick. Bang, bang, bang. I hammered it in. But I kept thinking. This wasn't normal. Something was wrong. Karen kept coming by. Every few days. Click, click, click. Her shoes on the sidewalk. She'd stand by my fence. She'd glare at my garden. She'd write on her clipboard. Scribble, scribble, scribble. Too many plants, Jake, she'd yell. Too ugly. I'd smile and nod. Okay, Karen, I'd say. But inside, I was mad. Boiling mad. And now, with the missing tomato and the broken fence, I was starting to wonder. Was she up to something? I talked to my neighbor, Mr. Jenkins. He's old and nice. He likes birds. We stood by his fence one day. Mr. Jenkins, I said, things are weird. He nodded. Yup, he said. Karen's mean. Maybe she's doing stuff. Doing stuff? Like what? I didn't know. But it made me think. Maybe he was right. Maybe Karen wasn't just yelling. Maybe she was sneaking. Messing with my garden. Trying to make me mad. Then came the big night. The really weird night. It was late. Dark outside. Stars in the sky. I was asleep in my bed. Buster was snoring next to me. Snore, snore, snore. Everything was quiet. Peaceful. Then sniff, sniff, I smelled something. Something bad. Smoke. My eyes popped open. My nose wrinkled. Smoke. In my house? I jumped out of bed. My heart started pounding. Thump, thump, thump. Buster woke up too. He barked. Quiet, buddy. I whispered. I ran to the window. I looked outside. Oh no. Oh no, oh no, oh no. My garden, it was on fire. Flames were everywhere. Big, hot, orange flames. My carrots? Toast. Burned up. My beans. Gone. Turned to ash. My tomatoes. Popping and sizzling in the heat. Black smoke went up into the sky. Crackle, crackle, crackle. The fire was eating everything. Everything I worked so hard for. Everything I loved. I grabbed my shoes. I ran outside. Barefoot. No way. I didn't want to burn my feet. Buster stayed inside. Stay, buddy. I said. He whimpered. I shut the door. I stood in my yard, staring. The fire was big. Scary. Hot. My heart was pounding so fast. Thump, thump, thump. I was mad. So mad. Who did this? Who burned my garden? My perfect little garden? I wanted to yell. I wanted to cry. But I didn't. Not yet. I had to think. I ran to my hose. It was by the porch. I turned it on. Splash. Water came out. I pointed it at the fire. Spray, spray, spray. The flames hissed. Hiss, hiss, hiss. Smoke got in my eyes. It stung. I coughed. But I kept spraying. Water splashed on the carrots. On the beans. On the tomatoes. Slowly, the fire got smaller. 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 Finally poof, it was out. No more flames. Just wet dirt and burned plants. My garden was a mess. A big, sad, smoky mess. I dropped the hose. I stood there. My hands were shaking. My shirt was wet. My face was sweaty. I looked at my garden. No more carrots. No more beans. No more tomatoes. Just black stuff. Ash. Ruins. I kicked the dirt. Why? I said out loud. Why would someone do this? I was mad. Really mad. Boiling mad. Like a volcano ready to blow up. Boom. But then I stopped. I took a deep breath. I didn't panic. Nope. I stayed calm. Why? Because I had something. Something smart. Something I'd done a month ago. See, Karen's yelling had gotten loud. Really loud. Too big, Jake. Too messy, Jake. Every day, she'd yell. Scribble, scribble, scribble on her clipboard. I got tired of it. So I did something sneaky. I set up security cameras. Yup. Little cameras. Hidden cameras. All around my yard. I put one by the fence. It looked like a rock. Sneaky, right? I put one by the shed. It looked like a birdhouse. Super sneaky. I put one on my porch. It looked like a light. The sneakiest. They watched my garden all the time. Day and night. They recorded everything. Every bug. Every bird. Every leaf. And now. Maybe they recorded something else. Something big. Something bad. Something like, a fire. I ran inside. Buster barked. It's okay, buddy. I said. I grabbed my laptop. It was on the table. I opened it. Click, click, click. I pulled up the camera footage. My cameras save everything. Every minute. Every second. I went back to that night. Back to when the fire started. I hit play. My eyes were glued to the screen. What would I see? Who would I see? My heart was pounding again. Thump, thump, thump. The screen was dark at first. Just my yard. Quiet. Still. The tomatoes were there. The carrots were there. The beans were there. All safe. All good. Then movement. Something moved by the fence. A shadow. A person. I leaned closer. Who was it? The camera zoomed in a little. I saw a jacket. A blue jacket. A fancy blue jacket. Wait a minute. I knew that jacket. HOA president in gold letters. Oh no. Oh yes. It was her. Karen. She stepped into the light. Clear as day. Karen Wilcox. The mean HOA boss. She was holding something. A lighter. A little red lighter. She flicked it. Click. A tiny flame popped up. She grinned. Grinned. Like she'd won a prize. Like she was happy. She walked to my garden. She held the lighter down. Down to my beans. Whoosh. The beans caught fire. She moved to my carrots. Whoosh. The carrots burned. She moved to my tomatoes. Whoosh. The tomatoes went up in flames. She stood there, watching. Grinning. Laughing a little. My garden burned, and she laughed. I stared at the screen. My mouth dropped open. Karen. Karen did this? Karen burned my garden? My perfect little garden? I couldn't believe it. But there she was. On my camera. Holding a lighter. Starting a fire. Grinning like a mean, sneaky fox. She thought she'd get away with it. She thought no one would know. She thought wrong. I hit pause. I leaned back. My hands were still shaking. Buster jumped up next to me. He licked my face. "Hey, buddy," I said. I pet him. His fur was soft. It made me feel a little better. But my mind wouldn't stop. Karen burned my garden. Karen. With her dumb clipboard and her fancy jacket. She didn't just yell at me. She didn't just write mean stuff. She took a lighter and burned everything. My carrots. Toast. My beans. Ash. My tomatoes. Sizzle. All gone. Because of her. I watched the video again. Just to be sure. I hit play. There she was. Sneaking by the fence. Holding the lighter. Click. Flame. Whoosh. Fire. Grin. Laugh. I paused it again. I zoomed in. Yup. It was her. No mistake. Her face was clear. Her jacket was clear. Her lighter was clear. I had her. I really had her. My cameras caught it all. Every second. Every move. Every mean little grin. I stood up. I paced around my living room. Back and forth. Back and forth. Buster followed me. His tail wagged. Thump, thump, thump. "What do I do, buddy?" I asked. He tilted his head. He didn't know. He's a dog. But I knew. Deep down, I knew. This was big. This was my chance. My secret cameras had caught her. Karen thought she was sneaky. She thought she was smart. But I was sneakier. I was smarter. And I had proof. I sat down again. I watched the video one more time. I wanted to see every detail. She snuck in at 1:23 a.m. The time was right there on the screen. 1:23 a.m. The moon was out. The stars were out. My garden was quiet. Then she showed up. She looked around. Left. Right. Up. Down. She thought no one was watching. Ha! She was wrong. My rock cameras saw her. My birdhouse cameras saw her. My porch light cameras saw her. 3 cameras. 3 angles. All perfect. She walked slow. Real slow. Like a cat sneaking up on a bird. Her shoes didn't click this time. No click, click, click. She was quiet. Sneaky quiet. She held the lighter tight. Her fingers were white from squeezing it. She flicked it once. Click. No flame. She flicked it again. Click. Flame. A tiny orange flame. She grinned. Her teeth showed. Her eyes were bright. Mean bright. She loved this. She loved burning my garden. I watched her light the beans first. Whoosh. The fire jumped up fast. The beans curled and turned black. She moved to the carrots. Whoosh. The carrots burned slower. The orange tops went brown, then black. She moved to the tomatoes. Whoosh. The tomatoes popped. Pop, pop, pop. Juice sizzled in the fire. Smoke went everywhere. She stepped back. She watched. She grinned bigger. She even clapped her hands a little. Clap, clap, clap. Like it was a show. Like it was fun. I turned off the video. I couldn't watch anymore. My stomach felt sick. My garden was gone. All that work. All those plants. All that love. Burned. Because of Karen. Because she hated me. Because she hated my garden. Why? I didn't know. Maybe because I smiled at her. Maybe because I didn't fight back. Maybe because my tomatoes were too red. Who knows? She was mean. That's all I knew. Mean and sneaky. But I wasn't scared. Nope. I wasn't sad anymore either. I was mad, sure. Boiling mad. But I was also excited. Excited. Why? Because I had her. I had the video. I had the proof. My cameras were my trick. My secret. I'd set them up a month ago. Back when Karen started yelling more. Back when she started writing more. Scribble, scribble, scribble. I knew she'd do something dumb. Something big. And she did. She burned my garden. And I caught her. I went outside again. The sun was coming up. The sky was pink and orange. Pretty. But my garden wasn't pretty. It was wet. Black. Smelly. I walked over. I looked at the mess. Burned beans. Burned carrots. Burned tomatoes. All gone. I kicked the dirt again. You messed up, Karen, I said out loud. You really messed up. The wind blew. The ash moved a little. I smiled. Yup, I smiled. Because she didn't know what was coming. She had no idea. I went back inside. I grabbed a snack. A cookie. Crunch, crunch, crunch. Buster begged for some. I gave him a little piece. Good boy, I said. I sat on the couch. I thought about the video. I thought about Karen. I thought about my next move. What would I do? Show the video to the HOA? Show it to the neighbors? Show it to the police? I didn't know yet. But I knew one thing. Karen was in trouble. Big trouble. Huge trouble. Gigantic trouble. She thought she'd won. She thought burning my garden would make me give up. She thought I'd stop planting. Stop growing. Stop smiling. She was wrong. So wrong. My garden was gone, sure. But I wasn't done. Nope. I had the video. I had the power. I had the proof. And soon? Everyone would know. Everyone would see. Everyone would laugh at Karen. Not me. Her. I looked at Buster. What do you think, buddy? I asked. He barked. Woof. I laughed. Yeah, I said. She's in for it. I pet him. His tail wagged. Thump, thump, thump. The sun was higher now. The day was starting. My garden was burned. My plants were gone. But I wasn't sad. I wasn't scared. I was ready. Ready for the next part. Ready to show her. Ready to win. What was coming? Oh, you'll find out. It's big. It's fun. It's sneaky. But not yet. Not right now. This was just the rising part. The weird part. The part where I found out. The part where I saw her. The part where I got ready. Karen had no idea. No idea at all. And that made me smile even more. The next HOA meeting was packed. Really packed. My name's Jake, and I live in Pinewood Acres. It's a quiet little neighborhood. I had a garden in my backyard. I loved it. Tomatoes, carrots, beans, I grew them all. But Karen, the HOA boss, hated my garden. She yelled at me all the time. She even burned it down one night. Yup, burned it. I caught her on my secret cameras. And now? It was time to show everyone. Time for the big moment. Time for Karen to get what she deserved. The meeting was in the clubhouse. It's a little building down the street. White walls. Big windows. Long tables. Everyone goes there for HOA stuff. That night, it was full. Chairs everywhere. People sitting. People standing. Neighbors I knew. Neighbors I didn't. Mr. Jenkins was there. He's old and nice. He waved at me. Mrs. Lopez was there too. She smiled. They knew Karen was mean. They knew she picked on me. But they didn't know what I had. Not yet. Karen stood up front. She always stood up front. She had her clipboard. Her fancy blue jacket. HOA president in gold letters. She thought she was the boss. The queen. Queen Karen. Ha. She held her head high. She looked at everyone like we were little kids. Like she was the teacher. She started talking. Loud. Sharp. We're here to talk about community standards, she said. Rules keep Pinewood Acres nice. Some people don't follow them. She looked at me when she said that. Me. Her eyes were mean. Her lips were tight. She thought she was so smart. So mighty. I sat in the back. My laptop was on my lap. Closed. Quiet. Ready. My heart was beating fast. Thump, thump, thump. I wasn't scared, though. Nope. I was excited. Really excited. Why? Because I had the video. The proof. The big secret. Karen burned my garden. My cameras caught her. She didn't know I had it. She didn't know I was going to show it. She thought she'd won. She thought I'd give up. She was wrong. So wrong. She kept talking. On and on. We need clean yards, she said. No messes. No big gardens. Big gardens. That was about me. My garden. She was picking on me again. In front of everyone. Mr. Jenkins shook his head. Mrs. Lopez frowned. Other neighbors whispered. They didn't like her either. But they didn't say anything. Not yet. They just listened. Karen's voice got louder. Some people think they can do whatever they want, she said. That's not how it works here. She glared at me. Glaring. Like my burned garden was my fault. I waited. I didn't say a word. My hands were on my laptop. My fingers tapped a little. Tap, tap, tap. I was calm outside. Smiling even. But inside. I was jumping. Ready to go. Ready to show them. The meeting had a part where people could talk. Anyone could stand up. Say stuff. Ask questions. That's what I was waiting for. My turn. My big chance. Karen didn't know it was coming. Nope. She kept talking. Acting high and mighty. Acting like she owned us all. Finally, she stopped. She put her clipboard down. Any questions, she asked. Her voice was sharp. She crossed her arms. She looked around. No one said anything at first. The room was quiet. Really quiet. You could hear the clock on the wall. Tick, tick, tick. Then Mr. Jenkins raised his hand. Yeah, he said. Why do you fine people for dumb stuff? People laughed. Quiet laughs. Karen's face got mad. It's not dumb, she snapped. It's rules. Mr. Jenkins shrugged. He sat back down. Then it was my turn. I raised my hand. Slow. Easy. Karen saw me. Her eyes got small. Mean small. What, Jake, she said. Her voice was cold. She didn't like me talking. She didn't like me at all. I stood up. My laptop in my hands. Karen, I said, I've got something to show everyone. My voice was loud. Clear. Everyone turned. Heads moved. Eyes looked at me. The room went quiet again. Super quiet. Even the clock seemed to stop. Tick, tick, nothing. Karen stared at me. What, she said. She sounded mad. But also, worried. Maybe. Just a little. I smiled. You'll see, I said. I walked to the front. Slow steps. Step, step, step. People watched. Mr. Jenkins grinned. Mrs. Lopez leaned forward. Karen stepped back. Just one step. Her clipboard was on the table. Her fancy jacket shone under the lights. I put my laptop down. right next to her clipboard. I opened it. Click. The screen lit up. What are you doing? Karen asked. Her voice was sharp. Loud. Sit down, Jake. I didn't sit. Nope. I kept going. This is important, I said. Everyone needs to see this. I looked at the crowd. Neighbors. Friends. People I knew. You all know my garden, I said. I loved it. Tomatoes. Carrots. Beans. All gone now. Burned. Someone burned it? People gasped. Little gasps. Whisper, whisper, whisper. Karen's face changed. Red. Then white. Fast. Like a light switching. What's this about? A lady asked. She had glasses. I nodded at her. You'll see, I said. I grabbed a cord. Plugged my laptop into the big screen. The clubhouse had a TV on the wall. Big. Flat. Perfect. I hit a button. Click. My laptop screen showed up on the TV. Big and bright. Everyone could see it. Karen stepped closer. Stop this, Jake, she yelled. I didn't stop. Nope. I hit play. And there it was. Clear as day. The video. My secret video. My camera footage. The night my garden burned. The screen showed my yard. Dark. Quiet. Stars above. My tomatoes were there. My carrots were there. My beans were there. All safe. All good. Then movement. A shadow by the fence. A person. Everyone leaned in. Who was it? The camera zoomed. A blue jacket. Gold letters. HOA president. Gasps filled the room. Big gasps. Loud gasps. Gasp. It was Karen. Karen Wilcox. On the screen. Sneaking in my yard. Holding a lighter. A little red lighter. Click. A flame popped up. She grinned. Mean grin. Happy grin. She walked to my garden. She bent down. Whoosh. My beans caught fire. Whoosh. My carrots burned. Whoosh. My tomatoes went up in flames. She stood there. Watching. Laughing. Clap, clap, clap. She clapped her hands. Like it was a game. Like it was fun. My garden burned, and she laughed. The room exploded. Not really. But it felt like it. People yelled. What? No way. That's her. Mr. Jenkins stood up. I knew it, he shouted. Mrs. Lopez clapped. Good job, Jake, she said. Everyone talked. Loud. Fast. Whisper, yell, whisper, yell. The video kept playing. Karen on the screen. Lighting fires. Grinning. Laughing. Burning everything I loved. Clear as day. No hiding it. No faking it. It was her. Karen's face was red now. Bright red. Like a tomato. Ha. Then it went white. Ghost white. She stared at the screen. Her mouth opened. Closed. Opened again. That's not me, she yelled. Yelled. Her voice was loud. Shaky. That's not me. It's fake. Fake. Ha. No way. It was real. Too real. The cameras showed everything. Her jacket. Her lighter. Her grin. Her laugh. No one bought her lie. Not one person. I turned to her. It's you, Karen, I said. Calm. Clear. My cameras caught you. 3 cameras. All real. I pointed at the screen. Look. That's you. Burning my garden. Laughing about it. People gasped again. More yells. Wow. She's crazy. Get her. Karen shook her head. No, she shouted. No, no, no. It's not me. But it was. Everyone saw it. Everyone knew it. The video stopped. Karen on the screen, frozen. standing by my burned garden, grinning. The room was loud. So loud. People stood up, pointed at her, talked fast. Mr. Jenkins walked over. "You're mean, Karen," he said. "Real mean." Mrs. Lopez nodded. "You can't do that," she said. Other neighbors joined in. "Yeah. Why'd you burn it? That's not fair." Karen looked around. Her eyes were big. Scared. She didn't know what to say. I crossed my arms. "Time to face the music, Karen," I said. Face the music? That means she was in trouble. Big trouble. She messed up. She got caught. And now? Everyone knew. She wasn't the boss anymore. She wasn't the queen. She was just Karen. Mean Karen. Caught Karen. Busted Karen. She tried to talk. I didn't, she said. Her voice was small now. Not loud. Not sharp. Small and shaky. "It's fake. You made it up." I laughed. "Nope," I said. "It's real. My cameras don't lie." "You do." People clapped. Clap, clap, clap. Not for her. For me. For the video. For the truth. Karen's clipboard was on the table. Useless now. Her fancy jacket? Just a jacket. She wasn't mighty anymore. She was nothing. The HOA people were there too. The other bosses. Not just Karen. They sat at a table up front. They watched the video. They heard the yells. They saw Karen's face. One of them stood up. A man with glasses. "Karen," he said. "What's this?" His voice was mad. Serious. She turned to him. "It's not me," she said again. He shook his head. "We saw it," he said. "Everyone saw it?" The other HOA people nodded. "Yup. Clear as day." "You're in trouble." Karen's hands shook. She grabbed her clipboard. Held it tight. Like it could save her. It couldn't. "I'm the president," she yelled. "You can't do this." The man with glasses frowned. "Not anymore," he said. "We'll talk about this. Right now." Talk about it? Oh yeah. That meant she was done. Done being the boss. Done being mean. Done picking on me. People kept talking. Loud. Excited. Mad. She burned his garden. She's crazy. Kick her out. Mr. Jenkins patted my back. "Good job, Jake," he said. "You got her." Mrs. Lopez hugged me. "So smart," she said. I smiled. Big smile. Happy smile. I did it. I showed them. I caught her. My laptop was still on. The video was still there. Frozen on Karen's grin. Proof. Perfect proof. Karen tried to leave. She grabbed her clipboard. She turned to the door. "I'm going," she said. But people blocked her. "No way," a man yelled. "You can't run." She stopped. She looked around. Trapped. Like a mouse in a cage. Her face was white again. Her eyes were big. Scared big. She didn't know what to do. She didn't know how to win. Because she couldn't win. Not this time. I sat down. I closed my laptop. Click. The screen went dark. The TV went dark. But everyone remembered. They saw it. They knew it. Karen burned my garden. Karen got caught. Karen was done. The room was still loud. People yelling. People clapping. People laughing. Not at me. At her. She stood there. Alone. Small. Not mighty. Not anymore. It was the best moment. The biggest moment. The reveal. The truth. My cameras worked. My plan worked. My trick worked. Karen thought she was sneaky. She thought she was smart. She thought she'd get away with it. She was wrong. So wrong. And now? Everyone knew. Time to face the music, Karen. Time to pay. Time to lose. After that, things moved fast. Really fast. My name's Jake, and I live in Pinewood Acres. It's a quiet little neighborhood. I had a garden in my backyard. I loved it. Tomatoes, carrots, beans, I grew them all. But Karen, the HOA boss, hated it. She yelled at me. She even burned it down one night. I caught her on my secret cameras and showed everyone at the HOA meeting. Everyone saw her. Everyone knew she was mean. And now, it was time for things to change. Time for justice. Time for me to win. The HOA meeting was wild. Karen got caught. My video showed her burning my garden. Her fancy blue jacket. Her lighter. Her mean grin. Everyone gasped. Everyone yelled. She tried to lie. That's not me, she said. But no one believed her. The proof was too good. Too clear. Too real. The room was loud. People clapped. People cheered. Not for her. For me. For the truth. And after that, things didn't stop. Nope. They sped up. Fast, fast, fast. The HOA board was there. They're the grown UPS who help run the neighborhood. Not just Karen. Other people too. A man with glasses. A lady with short hair. A guy with a beard. They sat at a table up front during the meeting. They saw my video. They heard the yells. They watched Karen's face go red, then white. After the meeting, they didn't wait. Nope. They got together. Right away. In a little room next to the clubhouse. They closed the door. They talked. Serious talk. I stayed outside. So did the neighbors. Mr. Jenkins was with me. He's old and nice. He likes birds. They're mad, he said. Real mad. Mrs. Lopez was there too. She smiled at me. You did good, Jake, she said. I smiled back. Thanks, I said. My heart was still beating fast. Thump, thump, thump. Not scared fast. Happy fast. Excited fast. Because I knew something big was coming. Something good. The door opened. The man with glasses came out. He looked at everyone. The room got quiet. Super quiet. We talked, he said. His voice was loud. Clear. Karen's out. 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 People cheered. Clap, clap, clap. No more HOA boss, he said. She broke rules. Big rules. She's done. Done. Karen was done. No more clipboard. No more power. No more yelling at me. No more anything. The lady with short hair nodded. Yup, she said. She's gone. The guy with a beard crossed his arms. Good riddance, he said. Good riddance. That means goodbye and good luck. But not nice luck. Ha. Karen was there. She heard it. Her face went white again. Whiter than white. Ghost white. She grabbed her clipboard. She held it tight. Like it could help her. It couldn't. You can't do this, she yelled. Her voice was loud. Shaky. I'm the president. The man with glasses shook his head. Not anymore, he said. You burned Jake's garden. We saw it. Everyone saw it. You're out. Out. She stomped her foot. No, she said. But it didn't matter. The board said no. The neighbors said no. She was finished. People started talking. Loud talking. Happy talking. Neighbors who'd been scared of her spoke up. Mr. Jenkins went first. She fined me for my mailbox, he said. Too blue. Dumb. People laughed. Mrs. Lopez raised her hand. She fined me for my roses, she said. Too many. Crazy. More laughs. A man with a hat stood up. She fined me for my flag, he said. Too big. Silly. Another lady nodded. My birdbath, she said. Too loud. What? Everyone laughed again. Big laughs. Happy laughs. Turns out, Karen had been bullying everyone. For years. Not just me. Everyone. Fines for mailboxes. Fines for flowers. Fines for flags. Fines for bird baths. Dumb stuff. Silly stuff. Mean stuff. People were scared of her. Scared of her clipboard. Scared of her fancy jacket. Scared of her loud voice. But not anymore. Nope. My video changed that. My cameras showed the truth. Karen wasn't just mean to me. She was mean to all of us. And now, we weren't scared. We were mad. And we were done with her. The police got involved too. Yup, the police. Real cops. With badges and cars. After the meeting, someone called them. I don't know who. Maybe Mr. Jenkins. Maybe Mrs. Lopez. Maybe the man with glasses. Doesn't matter. They came. 2 cops. One tall. One short. They pulled up in a white car. Lights on top. Flash, flash, flash. Not loud flashes. Quiet ones. They walked into the clubhouse. Everyone watched. Karen saw them. Her eyes got big. Scared big. Hi, the tall cop said. We heard about a fire. A fire? My garden. I stepped up. That's me, I said. My garden burned. I've got a video. The short cop nodded. Show us, he said. I opened my laptop. Click. I hit play. There it was again. Karen sneaking. Karen with her lighter. Karen burning my beans. My carrots. My tomatoes. Grinning. Laughing. The cops watched. Their eyes got big too. Not scared big. Mad big. That's her, the tall cop asked. He pointed at Karen. I nodded. Yup, I said. That's Karen. Karen tried to talk. It's fake, she said. Her voice was small now. Shaky. Weak. The short cop shook his head. Doesn't look fake, he said. Looks real. The tall cop wrote stuff down. Scribble, scribble, scribble. Not on a clipboard. On a little pad. Burning stuff is bad, he said. Against the law. The law. Oh yeah. Karen broke the law. Big time. The cops looked at her. You'll have to come with us, the short cop said. Come with them. To the police station. Karen's mouth dropped open. No, she yelled. You can't. But they could. They did. The tall cop took her arm. Gentle but firm. Let's go, he said. She tried to pull away. I'm the HOA president, she said. The short cop laughed. Not anymore, he said. They walked her out. Step, step, step. Her fancy jacket didn't look fancy now. Her clipboard stayed on the table. Lonely. Useless. She was gone. Out the door. Into the car. Flash, flash, flash. They drove away. The neighbors cheered again. Big cheers. Loud cheers. Yay. She's gone. Good job, Jake. Mr. Jenkins hugged me. You're smart, he said. Mrs. Lopez hugged me too. So brave, she said. I smiled. Big smile. Happy smile. Thanks, I said. The HOA board came over. The man with glasses shook my hand. We're sorry, he said. She was mean. We didn't know. The lady with short hair nodded. We'll fix this, she said. The guy with a beard grinned. You're a hero, Jake, he said. A hero? Me. Ha. Cool. The cops called me later. The tall one. Karen's in trouble, he said. She has to pay. Pay. Yup. For my garden. For the damage. She burned my plants. My tomatoes. My carrots. My beans. That costs money. Seeds cost money. Dirt costs money. Time costs money. The police said she'd pay me back. All of it? Every penny. She'll be fined too, he said. Fined. Ha. Karen loved fining people. Now she'd get fined. Funny, right? Justice. Real justice. I went home that night. Buster, my dog, ran to me. Woof. His tail wagged. Thump, thump, thump. I pet him. We did it, buddy, I said. He licked my hand. I looked out the window. My garden was still a mess. Wet. Black. Burned. But not forever. Nope. I'd fix it. I'd replant everything. New tomatoes. New carrots. New beans. Better than before. Stronger than before. And this time? No one would mess with it. No one would dare. The next day, I started. I grabbed my shovel. Dig, dig, dig. I cleaned up the burned stuff. Scoop, scoop, scoop. I threw it away. Bye-bye, ashes. I got new dirt. Big bags from the store. Dump, dump, dump. I spread it out. Smooth, smooth, smooth. I got new seeds. Tiny ones. Tomato seeds. Carrot seeds. Bean seeds. I planted them. Poke, poke, poke. I watered them. Sprinkle, sprinkle, sprinkle. The sun was out. The dirt was dark. My garden was back. Small, but back. Neighbors came by. Mr. Jenkins first. Looking good, Jake, he said. He brought me a cookie. Crunch. Yum. Mrs. Lopez came too. So pretty, she said. She gave me a flower. A little one. I planted it by my fence. Other people stopped. Wow. Nice. Grow big. They smiled. They waved. They weren't scared anymore. Karen was gone. The mean queen was gone. Pinewood Acres felt different. Happier. Freer. Better. Karen. She slinked away. That's a funny word, right? Slinked. It means she left quiet. Sneaky quiet. No click, click, click from her shoes. No yelling. No clipboard. She didn't look at me. She didn't look at anyone. She moved fast. Head down. Eyes down. Like a mouse running away. I saw her one time. By her house. Packing a box. Into her car. Zoom. She was gone. Really gone. No more Karen. No more trouble. My garden grew. Day by day. Week by week. Little sprouts popped up. Green and tiny. Then bigger. Taller. Stronger. Tomatoes came back. Red and juicy. Carrots came back. Orange and crunchy. Beans came back. Long and green. I watered them. Sprinkle, sprinkle, sprinkle. I pulled weeds. Yank, yank, yank. I smiled. Big smiles. Happy smiles. My garden was mine again. All mine. And no one messed with it? Nope. Not a chance. People started talking about it. My garden. My little veggie patch. Jake's garden is cool, they'd say. Look at those tomatoes. Those beans are tall. They'd walk by. Wave. Point. Smile. One day, Mr. Jenkins laughed. You're Farmer Jake now, he said. Farmer Jake? Me. Ha. I liked it. Mrs. Lopez nodded. Yup, she said. Farmer Jake. Other neighbors said it too. Hi, Farmer Jake. Nice plants, Farmer Jake. It stuck. My new name. Farmer Jake. Cool, right? Respect feels pretty good, doesn't it? Yup. It does. People didn't laugh at me anymore. They didn't whisper about my garden. They liked it. They liked me. They stopped by. They talked. They even asked for tips. How do you grow tomatoes, Jake? What's your secret, Farmer Jake? I'd tell them. Water. Sun. Love, I'd say. They'd nod. Cool, they'd say. You're good at this. Good at it? Yeah. I was. And it felt awesome. Pinewood Acres changed. No more Karen. No more fines for dumb stuff. The HOA board was nicer now. The man with glasses smiled more. The lady with short hair waved. The guy with a beard said hi. They made new rules. Good rules. Plant what you want, they said. Grow what you like. People did. Flowers popped up. Veggies too. Gardens everywhere. All because of me. All because of my video. All because I stood up. I'd sit on my porch. Buster next to me. We'd watch the sunset. Orange sky. Pink sky. Pretty sky. My garden in front. Growing big. Growing strong. I'd pet Buster. We won, buddy, I'd say. He'd bark. Woof. His tail would wag. Thump, thump, thump. I'd smile. Big smile. Happy smile. Justice was served. Karen was gone. My garden was back. And me? I was Farmer Jake. Respect feels good. Really good. And I earned it? Every bit. So here's the thing, sometimes the loudest people think they're untouchable. They yell. They boss. They act big. But the quiet ones. The ones who watch and wait? They're the ones who win in the end. My name's Jake, and I learned that. I live in Pinewood Acres. It's a quiet little neighborhood. I had a garden. I loved it. Karen, the HOA boss, was mean. She burned it down. I caught her with my cameras. I showed everyone. She lost. I won. And now? I've got something to tell you. Something big. Something cool. Something to make you think. Let's talk about it. Karen was loud. Really loud. She'd yell at me all the time. Your garden's too big, Jake. It's ugly. She'd march around with her clipboard. Scribble, scribble, scribble. She'd glare at my tomatoes. She'd stomp her feet. Click, click, click. Her fancy blue jacket made her look big. HOA president in gold letters. She thought she was the queen. Queen Karen. Ha! She thought no one could stop her. She thought she was untouchable. Like a superhero. But mean. A mean superhero. Weird, right? She pushed people around. Not just me. Everyone. Mr. Jenkins got fined for his mailbox. Too blue. Mrs. Lopez got fined for her roses. Too many. Other neighbors too. Flags. Bird baths. Dumb stuff. Silly stuff. She'd yell. She'd fine. She'd write on her clipboard. She thought she'd always win. Always be the boss. Always be loud. She thought loud meant strong. She thought loud meant smart. She thought loud meant safe. Nope. She was wrong. So wrong. Me. I was quiet. I didn't yell back. I didn't stomp. I didn't fight her with words. When she said my garden was too big, I smiled. Okay, Karen, I'd say. When she glared at my carrots, I nodded. When she wrote on her clipboard, I waved. I stayed calm. I kept my cool. Why? Because I had a plan. A secret. A trick. I watched her. I waited. I didn't get mad on the outside. Inside. Oh, I was boiling. Like a pot of hot soup. Bubble, bubble, bubble. But outside. Quiet. Still. Sneaky. See, loud doesn't always win. Nope. Sometimes quiet is better. Sometimes quiet is smarter. Sometimes quiet is stronger. Karen didn't know that. She thought yelling made her big. She thought bossing made her safe. She thought burning my garden would scare me. Make me stop. Make me give up. She didn't know I was watching. She didn't know I had cameras. She didn't know I was waiting. Quiet Jake. Watching Jake. Waiting Jake. That's me. And that's how I won. Think about it. Karen was loud like a lion. Roar. She walked big. She talked big. She acted big. But lions can fall. Lions can trip. Lions can lose. I was quiet like a mouse. Squeak. Little steps. Little voice. Little me. But mice are sneaky. Mice are smart. Mice can win. I watched her. I waited. I got my proof. My cameras caught her. My video showed her. And when I showed it, boom. The loud lion fell. The quiet mouse won. Funny, right? Next time someone tries to push you around, remember this. Don't yell. Don't cry. Don't run. Keep your cool. Stay calm. Watch them. Wait. Find your proof. Maybe it's not cameras. Maybe it's something else. A note. A picture. A friend who saw it. Something real. Something true. Gather it. Hold it. Then use it. Let the truth do the talking. Truth is strong. Truth is loud. Louder than yelling. Louder than stomping. Louder than Karen. Let me tell you more. When Karen burned my garden, I was mad. So mad. My tomatoes. Gone. My carrots. Toast. My beans. Ash. I worked hard on them. I planted seeds. Tiny seeds. I watered them. Sprinkle, sprinkle, sprinkle. I pulled weeds. Yank, yank, yank. I loved them. They were mine. And she burned them. With her lighter. With her grin. I wanted to yell at her. I wanted to shout. Why, Karen? Why? But I didn't. I stayed quiet. I got my hose. I put out the fire. Spray, spray, spray. I stayed calm. I thought. I planned. That's when I checked my cameras. I'd put them up a month ago. Little ones. Sneaky ones. A rock camera. A birdhouse camera. A porch light camera. They saw everything. Day and night. Bug and birds. Leaves and wind. And that night? They saw Karen. Sneaking. Lighting. Burning. Grinning. I watched the video. My heart went thump, thump, thump. Not scared. Excited. I had her. I had proof. I had the truth. Quiet Jake had the truth. Loud Karen didn't know. At the HOA meeting, I waited. Karen talked. She yelled about rules. She glared at me. She thought she was safe. She thought she was big. I stayed quiet. My laptop was ready. My video was ready. My proof was ready. When it was my turn, I stood up. Karen, I said, I've got something to show everyone. I plugged in my laptop. Click. I hit play. And there it was. Karen on the screen. Burning my garden. Laughing. Everyone saw. Everyone gasped. Everyone knew. The truth talked. Loud. Clear. Strong. I didn't yell. I didn't need to. The truth did it for me. Karen lost. Big time. The HOA board kicked her out. No more clipboard. No more power. The police made her pay. For my garden. For my plants. She slinked away. Quiet now. Not me. I replanted. New tomatoes. New carrots. New beans. My garden grew back. Better. Stronger. People called me Farmer Jake. They smiled. They waved. They liked me. Respect feels good. Really good. And I got it. Quiet Jake got it. Because I watched. I waited. I used the truth. So what do you think? Could you outsmart a Karen like that? Could you stay quiet? Could you watch and wait? Could you find your proof? I bet you could. You're smart. You're strong. You're sneaky. Maybe not with cameras. Maybe with something else. A pencil. A phone. A friend. Something to catch the loud ones. Something to show the truth. Next time someone's mean, think about it. Don't yell. Don't fight. Be a mouse. Not a lion. Mice win. Quiet wins. Truth wins. Let's talk more. Karen thought she was untouchable. Untouchable means no one can stop you. No one can catch you. No one can win. She thought her loud voice made her untouchable. She thought her clipboard made her untouchable. She thought her fancy jacket made her untouchable. She was wrong. Loud doesn't mean untouchable. Big doesn't mean untouchable. Mean doesn't mean untouchable. Anyone can fall. Anyone can lose. Even the loudest ones. Even the meanest ones. Even Karen. I was too shayeable. Little Jake. Quiet Jake. Garden Jake. She pushed me. She burned my stuff. She thought I'd give up. She thought I'd cry. She thought I'd run. Nope. I stayed. I watched. I waited. I got my cameras. I got my proof. I got my win. Too shayeable Jake touched her back. Not with fists. Not with yells. With truth. With quiet. With smart. And she fell. Big, loud Karen fell. Little, quiet Jake won. You can do that too. Anytime. Anywhere. Someone's loud. Someone's mean. Someone's pushing you. Don't push back. Don't shout back. Watch them. Wait. Find your proof. Maybe it's a teacher being unfair. Write it down. Maybe it's a friend being sneaky. Take a picture. Maybe it's a bully being loud. Tell someone. Gather it. Hold it. Use it. Let the truth talk. Truth is your friend. Truth is your power. Truth is your win. Think about my garden. It was small. Just a little patch. Dirt and plants. Seeds and water. But it was mine. I made it. I loved it. Karen hated it. She burned it. She thought that was it. End of story. Nope. I brought it back. New seeds. New dirt. New plants. Better plants. Stronger plants. My garden didn't give up. I didn't give up. Quiet doesn't mean weak. Little doesn't mean weak. Burned doesn't mean done. You can grow back. You can fight back. You can win back. Just like me. Just like my garden. What about you? Got a garden? Not real plants, maybe. Something you love. A drawing. A game. A toy. Something you made. Something you're proud of. Someone tries to take it. Someone tries to break it. Don't let them. Be quiet. Be smart. Be sneaky. Find your proof. Show the truth. Bring it back. Make it better. Make it yours. You're stronger than the loud ones. You're smarter than the mean ones. You're a winner like me. Let me tell you one more thing. After Karen lost, people changed. Pinewood Acres changed. No more scared neighbors. No more dumb fines. People smiled more. They waved more. They planted stuff. Flowers. Veggies. Pretty things. All because I stayed quiet. All because I watched. All because I waited. One little video. One little truth. It fixed everything. It beat the loud. It beat the mean. It made us happy. Truth can do that. Truth can fix stuff. Truth can win stuff. So here's my tip. My big tip. My cool tip. Next time someone's loud, don't be loud back. Next time someone's mean, don't be mean back. Watch them. Wait. Find your proof. Let the truth talk. It's strong. It's loud. It's awesome. Karen thought she was untouchable. She wasn't. I was quiet. I won. You can too. Every time. Every place. Every Karen. What do you think? Could you outsmart a Karen like that? Could you stay cool? Could you find proof? Could you let the truth win? I bet you could. You're awesome. You're smart. You're strong. Tell me below. Write it down. Say it loud. Well, not loud. Ha. Say it quiet. Say it sneaky. Say it true. I want to know. I want to hear. I want to cheer. Because you're a winner. Just like me. Just like Farmer Jake. I'll see you in the next story. More fun. More tricks. More wins. Stick around. Be quiet. Be smart. Be ready. The loud ones don't win. The quiet ones do. Bye for now.